How the US stole a Soviet fighter jet in broad daylight. Hello my friends. Welcome to Secret Agents Exposed. Today, we dive into a story so wild, so shocking, so interesting you won't believe it's true. Let's start. What if I told you that in the middle of the Cold War, the United States pulled off one of the boldest intelligence operations in aviation history, stealing a top-secret Soviet fighter jet in broad daylight? No explosions, nitrogen monoxide covert nighttime drop zones, just pure espionage brilliance and diplomatic sleight of hand. With blistering speeds above Mach 2.8 and unmatched altitude capabilities, IT sent shockwaves through NATO. Western analysts feared IT could outrun and outfight any American aircraft. This is the unbelievable true story of how the US got its hands on the Soviet MiG-25 Foxbat, and how it changed the balance of power in the skies forever. But the Cold War wasn't just about missiles or ideology. IT was about information. The Cold War skies. IT was a mystery. What was it made of? How maneuverable was IT? Could it outgun the West's best fighters? In the 197 OS, the world's two superpowers were locked in a tense standoff. Nuclear war seemed always just one misstep away. The Soviets were humiliated. The Americans were ecstatic. The Soviet Union had recently unveiled a terrifying new weapon, the MiG-25 Foxbat. For the Pentagon, the MiG-25 wasn't just a plane. They had nitrogen monoxide answers. Until a man from the inside handed them the ultimate gift. The aircraft was quickly dismantled, photographed, scanned, and studied down to the last bolt. The defector, Viktor Belenko. On September 6, 1976, 29-year-old Soviet pilot Viktor Belenko took off from Chugayevka Air Base in eastern Russia during a routine training mission. He had plotted this escape carefully, risking death if caught. IT was less of a dogfighter and more of a missile interceptor, a flying rocket with wings. But Belenko had nitrogen monoxide intention of returning. He was granted asylum and later became a US citizen. Just minutes into the flight, he broke formation, dropped to low altitude to avoid radar, and pointed his MiG-25 toward Japan. After flying nearly 400 miles, low on fuel and disoriented, Belenko spotted Hakodate Airport in northern Japan. In many ways, his defection was a propaganda victory as well as an intelligence coup. The runway was short and civilian planes were on IT, but he landed anyway, skidding off the tarmac, coming to a dramatic halt. Imagine the scene: a Soviet war machine, sitting uninvited at a Japanese airport, guarded by a defector ready to spill everything. His insights into Soviet Air Force procedures, morale, and training were just as valuable as the aircraft itself. Global shockwaves. The world woke up stunned. Japan immediately took custody of Belenko and the MiG, but within hours, the CIA was involved. Under immense pressure, Japan allowed the US to inspect the aircraft on the condition that IT would be returned. The Americans wasted nitrogen monoxide time. In just a few days, teams of US Air Force engineers, CIA analysts, and defense contractors were flown to Japan. What they found blew their minds. Secrets revealed contrary to fears. The MiG-25 wasn't as advanced as believed. IT was powerful, yes, but also crude. The plane was built using nickel-steel alloy rather than titanium, making IT heavy. Its massive engines were designed for raw speed, not agility. The radar systems were impressive in range, but used vacuum tubes, not solid-state electronics. That made them bulky, fragile, and outdated by Western standards. Still, the intelligence haul was massive. IT reshaped the design strategy of American aircraft, including upgrades to the F-15 Eagle and future stealth technologies. Belenko's new life. Meanwhile, Viktor Belenko defected to the United States. He underwent extensive debriefings by the CIA and other agencies. Belenko's story was front-page news across the globe for years. The Soviets called him a traitor. They even claimed he was mentally unstable. But Belenko thrived in the US. He wrote a book, gave lectures, and even consulted for defense contractors. Aftermath and fallout. The MiG-25 was eventually returned to the Soviets in crates, disassembled and thoroughly examined. The Soviets were furious. They accused both the US and Japan of violating international law. But the damage was done. From that moment on, the MiG-25's aura of invincibility was shattered. Western pilots nitrogen monoxide longer feared IT blindly. Strategic air defense planning evolved accordingly. The defection also embarrassed the Soviet military, exposing cracks in loyalty and discipline. Legacy of the operation: the theft, or let's say, acquisition, of the MiG-25 remains one of the most daring and successful operations of Cold War. Espionage. It wasn't just about a plane. It was about knowledge, the ultimate weapon in a war, where every secret mattered. In broad daylight, without a single shot fired, the US had pulled off one of the greatest intelligence coups in aviation history, all thanks to one brave pilot, a risky flight, and a landing that changed the course of Cold War aviation. If you found this story incredible, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Golden Years Guide for more real intelligence stories and Cold War secrets unveiled. Comment below, do you think Belenko was a hero or a traitor? Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, see you in the next video with unique story.